Hey there riders, Moto Journo Kris here, and I thought I'd do a rundown on the new Suzuki V-Strom 800DE, a bit of a harder nosed option that lands between the 650 and 1000, with a strong set of inclusions that could up the competition in that mid-capacity ADV segment. In fact, maybe it could replace both the 650 and the 1000 V-Strom in one fell swoop. What do you think? At a glance, the new V-Strom 800 could be confused for the 1000DE. However, styling and the nose are a little sharper and more refined, while the bike's proportions are a little slimmer and thinner overall. Road tyres are also pictured and relatively low guards, but the specifications actually suggest a more off-road capable machine than the fairly mundane tyre choice may represent. Suzuki are pretty renowned for offering great value machines too, so I'm hoping that continues with the V-Strom 800, but in comparison to the GSX 8S, which has also just been launched, the V-Strom actually carries quite a few more premium features. Pricing was listed at $18,590 right away on the Suzuki Motorcycles Australia website, but that's since been changed to TBA. By way of comparison, the V-Strom 650 XT is currently $15K here right away, while the 2023 V-Strom 1000s are $23K and $24.7K respectively for the base and DE models. Diving into what's on offer is a 270-degree crank parallel twin displacing 776 cc's and producing 62 kilowatts or 83 horsepower, while torque hits 78 newton meters at 6,800 RPM. And as mentioned in the GSX-S video, the torque drops off about halfway through the rev range and is strongest in the low to mid range according to the dyno they've provided. That 270-degree crank should offer a characterful power delivery, and Suzuki have also added their patented cross balancer, which they say is a first in a production bike. The real proof will be in the pudding when we get to ride the new steed, however, and see how it compares to the successful 270-degree parallel twins in the market like the MT-07 or Tenere 700. Other features that Suzuki felt were worthy of note was forged pistons, conical wrist pin pole machining, and optimised conrod design, as well as skem-plated cylinder bores. Ride-by-wire runs to a pair of 42mm throttle bodies with high-pressure 10-hole fuel injectors, and the airbox is run under the seat with a 6-litre capacity, which will hopefully allow for easy access for filter swaps. Naturally, we're talking a 6-speed gearbox, but a quick shifter that goes both up and down will be standard, which is nice to see and joins the slip and assist clutch. Rather than a huge underbite collector, the exhaust runs 2 cats and a very large muffler in a setup that's likely to be replaced for looks, sound or performance, or all three with alacrity. Electronics are presided over by SIRS, the Suzuki Intelligent Ride System, with ride modes, traction control, including a G for gravel mode, easy start and low RPM assist. Nothing groundbreaking, but a nice solid loadout. Power modes B and C drop the power curve down significantly, starting at throttle open and through most of the rev range, but peak at the same point as A mode. Obviously they'll just get there slower. G or gravel mode in the traction control retards ignition and allows more slip, with a focus on reducing excess wheel spin rather than preventing it entirely. That ensures consistent power and seems a pretty smart setup that keeps the traction control relevant on the trail or in gravel. Suzuki do note it's not suitable for use on tarmac, however. A nice and clear 5-inch TFT is also very 2023 and runs both day and night modes automatically, helping boost visibility. Switch blocks include a toggle and mode button on the left that handles all dash controls. ABS is also part of that electronics package and offers 2 modes, one for regular conditions and one for minimal intervention, like on gravel. Rear ABS can also be turned off too, which is what you'll be wanting if you're getting more serious off-road. The chassis is a new steel pipe design with a pretty hefty subframe that does need to support the potential of a pillion plus luggage alongside the rigours of adventure riding. The swing arm is aluminium in comparison. Geometry is designed for a long wheelbase, long rake, plenty of ground clearance and wide tall grip on those handlebars, with the capability to stand on the pegs plus minimising pillion leg bend for comfort. The shorter new engine also helps bring the rider closer to the front of the bike. Wide tapered handlebars are run, and Suzuki reckon they'll flex and help absorb shocks. Hopefully they're resistant to bending, however, if the bike gets dropped on them. The seat meanwhile is a single piece affair, narrow at the front near the tank and deep enough for good grip while standing by the looks of it. Denser foam aims to ensure comfort and seat height is 855mm, so taller but with a proper ADV suspension setup that's to be expected. Foot pegs are also rubber clad and don't look wide enough to keep serious ADVers happy. Brakes are pedal 310mm front rotors, but the Nissan 4-pot calipers on the GSX 8S have been replaced by 2-piston calipers by the looks of it. The rear is a 260mm rotor with a pin slide single piston caliper though. Showa provide the suspension loadout, and interestingly we're seeing preload, rebound and compression adjustment on those forks with 220mm of travel. On the rear is a Showa monoshock with external preload adjuster, but we're also receiving compression and rebound damping as far as adjustability, and again 220mm of travel is offered, which is the most ever seen on a V-Strom, as a sign of how serious Suzuki are getting with this bike. Y-spoke wheels are also run with a 21-inch front and 17-inch rear, wearing Dunlop Trail Max Mixed Tour tyres in a 90x90 front and 150x70 rear. That's a semi-block tread for very light adventure, but should be good on the highway. Fuel capacity is a generous 20 litres with 4.4 litres per 100 km, the quoted figure, meaning well over 400 km should be achievable between fill-ups. Other features include a standard rear rack with grab rails incorporated, small windscreen which is 3-position adjustable in 15mm increments, but requires a hex key to do so, meaning no adjustment on the run, unless you're really brave or really stupid. The front fender is a 3-piece design, but clearance looks decent with standard tyres. However, I do wonder about fitting knobbies. Handguards are also standard and fairly typical in being plastic, so good for weather protection and small stones, but not for bike drops or crashes. A standard radiator guard is very nice to see though, as is a plastic sump guard that'll probably provide enough protection for light ADV. Stacked LED lights are run in the headlight with angular LED indicators and an LED tail light, while a USB port is also found on the front end. Styling is very Suzuki, and it works in my mind, with the Champion Yellow the standout in the colour options, although the glass matte mechanical grey isn't bad either, and a glass sparkle black is also available for those who prefer the downstated look. All up, weight is 230 kilos too, although that is heavier than the Tenere 700 and the 890 and 901 ADVs as a point of comparison. The V-Strom 800DE is also looking like competition to that Tenere 700, especially if it retains the quoted price, which will undercut the T7 by a small margin here in Australia. It's not as hard-nosed in the off-road department for sure, but the V-Strom looks like a more comfortable machine for the highway in comparison, and there's always going to be some kind of trade-off there in exactly where the bike is positioned. Overall, this looks like a great addition to Suzuki's range, although it'll also have to compete with the new Transalp 750. I'd be surprised indeed if Suzuki doesn't offer a more competitive price point than the Honda there, however. So what do you think of the new V-Strom 800? Are they onto a winner? Will you be upgrading from a 650 or maybe even moving down from 1000? If you pre-order here in Australia, Suzuki are also throwing in an aluminium top box kit, which is a nice bonus, but there is a bit of a wait with arrival expected mid-2023. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, stay safe out there, and if you're still here, hit sub or like.